So I have a fun and casual deck for you guys today. I've been running Branded Dragonmaid. This is this is just fun. It's just something silly. So first off we got the 2 Maxi, then we got the Nurse Dragonmaid, and the Nurse Dragonmaid is when it's normal or special summon. You can target a level 4 or lower Dragonmaid monster in graveyard except Nurse, special summon it. Um, at the start of the battle phase, you can return this card to your hand, and if you do, special summon one level 7 Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. So you can use Earnest with that rather. Can't be destroyed by card effects while you control a fusion monster, which you're going to have a lot of fusion monsters. And quick effect, you can discard this card, special summon one level 4 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your hand. At the end of the battle phase, you can return this card to hand, special summon one level 2 Dragonmaid monster from your hand. The other big Dragonmaid monster that we have, which is a level 8, is it can't be destroyed by card effects while you have a fusion monster. You can only use each of its effects once per turn. You can discard it, target a face-up monster on the field. Players cannot activate that target's effects on the field this turn. So this is really fun to do to Mirror Jade or just a bunch of different targets. At the end of the battle phase, you can return this card to your hand. If you do, special summon one level 3 Dragonmaid monster from your hand. So these are the 2 big guys. Just wanted to make you aware of them since pretty much all of the Dragonmaids have a special summon, one level 7 or one level 8 or yada yada. Next we have Ash Blossom and Joy Springs. We're running 3 copies. This card is just really decent right now. If you're worried about effects, you can run 2 Ash and 1 Imperm. Or you can run 2 Ash, 1 Called By, and 2 Imperm. There's plenty of things you can change around with the ratio in this. Next we have Parlor Dragonmaid. When it's normal or special summoned, you can send 1 Dragonmaid card from your deck to the graveyard, except Parlor Dragonmaid. So most of the time we're going to be sending Changeover or Tidying, and we'll go to that in a bit. At the start of the battle phase, you can return this card to your hand, and if you do, special summon 1 level 8 Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard, which will be the green one. You can only use each effect of Parlor once per turn. And then next we have, of course, Fairy Tale Snow, because this is like one of the best light targets for Branded Fusion. And then we have 3 Chamber Dragonmaid. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Dragonmaid spell or trap from your deck to your hand. At the start of your battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, special summon 1 level 7 or higher Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. So level 7 or higher, if you properly special summoned something like Shiu or House, you can always return this and special summon it from the grave. And then next we have 2 Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz is a dragon, so it's just ridiculously useful in this deck because 1 Dragonmaid monster plus 1 dragon monster, you can do that with Fallen of Albaz. Fusion on wheels, baby. Next we have 3 Alubar, the Jester of Despia. When it's normal or special summoned, you can add a branded spell or trap from your deck to your hand. If a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, while this card's in your graveyard, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, special summon it, and if you do, negate the targeted monster's effects until the end of the turn. You can only use 1 Alubar Jester of Despia effect per turn, and only once that turn. This is decent. Most of the time you're just going to grab Branded Fusion with it, but you can also grab Branded Opening or Branded Red if you need it. You're probably not going to use Branded Red very often. In fact, you could pretty much just cut this card if you don't think you're going to use the effect for the ad. The main reason it's in here was to fill a spot after Branded Opening went to 2. But I'm thinking we actually might want to cut that. And what would be good to run? Oh, I know. I'm going to put Imperm in that slot. There we go. But next that brings us to Tri-Brigade Mercurier. When your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz. As material, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard, negate that effect, If this card is banished, you can add from your deck to your hand one Fallen of Albaz or one monster that mentions it, except Tri-Brigade Mercurier. You can only use the effect Mercurier once per turn. So it's decent. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot just because the negate just comes out of nowhere with this deck. We already covered the bigger dragons. Next we have Nibiru. So the one Nibiru, it's good if you're going second, or it's good if you get blown out and your opponent tries to establish breakmyboard.exe. And then next we have one Dragonmaid Hospitality. Special summon a Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard in defense. Then you can send one Dragonmaid monster with the same attribute but different level from your deck to the graveyard. You can only activate one Hospitality per turn. So basically being able to special back this, then send this, pretty good effect. The next we have Changeover. Changeover lets you fusion one dragon fusion monster from your extra deck. One dragon fusion monster. So you could do Starving Venom if you wanted. You could do Predaplant. Oh, wait, no, you can't. Whoa, hold on. It's a plant, not dragon. You can do Starving Venom. You can do Albion with that if you wanted. You could do Lubellion with that if you wanted. And of course the main Dragon Maids. But the fact that you can bring out more than just the Dragon Maid monsters makes this card pretty useful. So using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. When it's in your graveyard, you can target a Dragon Maid monster you control, add this card to your hand, and return that monster to the hand. So that's pretty great, being able to just say, oh, I'm going to put Chamber back in my hand and put Changeover back in my hand. And of course, you can only use this effect Dragonmaid Changeover once per turn, because if you do it multiple times per turn, it would be extremely busted. Next, we have one Lightning Storm for going second. You can run this or evenly matched. Personally, I'm just like running the Lightning Storm because sometimes I need to out back row. Next, you got the 3 Branded Fusion. Being able to fusion summon from the deck is great. You can fusion summon one monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck, using 2 monsters from your hand, deck, or field as fusion material. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters turn you activate this card. You can only activate one Branded Fusion per turn. So one light monster, you could, if you really needed to. Where's our light options? I'm pretty sure only light is, yeah. Our light monster is Fairy Tale Snow. So sending Snow from the deck and then being able to have Snow in the graveyard to banish 7 other cards from your grave, pop itself out, and have the Book of Moon effect whenever you need it. Pretty good. But one Fallen of Albaz, one light monster. And then another good one dark monster plus Fallen of Albaz. So you can actually send Chamber for that and then use a Changeover and Grave to get Chamber back to your hand if you need to. That's like one of the examples of one of the weird interactions you can have. Weird but useful. So Lubellion that you can also summon off Changeover or Branded Fusion. Pretty good just because of the material options you have. And then one Dragon Maid plus one Dragon Monster. So you can't, unfortunately you can't do that, but pretty good. Still pretty good. So let's go and move on to Dragonmaid Welcome. All monsters you control gain 100 attack defense for each Dragonmaid monster you control. This is hilarious in the mirror matches because, I mean, not like mirror match for Dragonmaid Branded, but other people playing Branded, my stuff being like 100 attack stronger because in normal to Dragonmaid is hilarious. If you control 2 or more Dragonmaid monsters, you can target a Dragonmaid card in your graveyard, except Welcome Dragonmaid, add it to your hand. You can only use this effect to Welcome Dragonmaid once per turn. If it's sent to the graveyard, your opponent cannot target Dragonmaid monsters you control with card effects this turn. So, the last part's kind of meh, but being able to recycle is really good. Next we have the one Super Poly. Once again, this is a hilarious for the mirror because if your opponent has like a dragon monster like Lubellion out or something like that, you can just be like, oh, well, this is becoming one of my Dragon Maids now. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous in this deck. 2 Called by the Grave. 1 crossout designator, 2 Dragonmaid send off. Send off is target a Dragonmaid monster you control. Special summon a Dragonmaid monster with a different name from your hand in defense. Return the one that you targeted to the hand. And then the special summon monster cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects until the end of the next turn. So, like, if your opponent's in the battle phase and they're going to try to push for game, you can just be like, let me just swap Nurse for Parlor real quick, or Nurse for Lopar, or Nurse for Chamber. Get the add effect from Chamber, by the way, and then it can't be destroyed during battle phase. So your opponent just sits there and looks at it like, oh, well, that's annoying. And then you can get to your turn and do shenanigans. 2 branded opening because of the October 28th, 2022 ban list ruining my fun and making me run 2 branded opening instead of 3. You can discard a card, take 1 Despia monster from your deck, add it to your hand, or special summon it in defense. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters, no problem. If a fusion monster you control, including your Dragonmaids, would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish this from your graveyard instead. You can only use each effect of branded opening once per turn. I find this just hilarious with the interactions you can have with this deck. 1 Infinite Impermanence, 2 Dragonmaid Tidying. This one is targeted dragon monster you control, 1 card your opponent controls or in their graveyard. Return them to the hand. So you can just look at one of your opponent's cards that can't be destroyed or it's annoying to deal with and just say, bye Felicia. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, but return it to your hand during the end phase. You can only use 1 tiny effect per turn and only once that turn. So, a hello card that lets me discard. Hello card that is a great discard outlet. And that brings us to our extra deck. The 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. This is good for the Super Poly. This is good to make off all of Albaz. This card is just decent in general. This is also your way to get out of Numeron making the giant 4,000 attack Link monster, because you can make his attack more and just speed over it. 1 Predaplanet Dragostapelia. This card is just good. Like, it's good in general. 1 Brigand the Glory Dragon. 2 Albion the Branded Dragon. 2 Mirror Jade the Iceblade Dragon. 2 Libellion. 2 House Dragonmaid. 1 Guardian Chimera. 2 Dragonmaid Xiao. 1 Predaplanet Verte Anaconda. And if you want to learn more about the stuff in the extra deck, take a look at my branded deck profile or my Dragonmaid deck profile so you can learn about all the interactions you can do with the big Dragonmaids and with the big branded fusions. But yeah, that's it for branded Dragonmaid, and I hope you guys like this deck profile. And as always, this video is sponsored by W Energy. You can use code SirLargeGaming to get 10% off of your order. I really, really like the peach mango flavor. It is tons of energy. I like it way better than coffee and way more than canned energy drinks, and I don't get the jitters with it. So it's really good. If they didn't sponsor me, I would keep drinking their energy drink begrudgingly if they dropped me, but I would still drink it. It's that good. But anyway, you guys, hope you like this deck profile, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.